baseball, please? Baseball? Dude, it's an hour. Baseball? Fine. But no complaining. This is how Japan plays baseball.
It's somewhat hard to believe that Japanese baseball culture is one of the most cutthroat in the world. A system where high school coaches can make over 200 grand a year. At some schools, kids are expected to practice 8 hours a day.
Coney, you're in the wrong profession. Dude, I'm gonna go be a baseball coach. What the f? I'm gonna go to Japan and teach kids baseball. They don't even have to win, dude. Little League Baseball, the stakes are so low, they're gonna lose. Who gives a
Players who break curfew were even beaten by their own managers, a practice that became so common throughout all levels of baseball in Japan that in 2021, the Human Rights Watch organization had to release a report just to address it.
Oh my God,
despite
Jesus!
This
yeah, Coney, you'd be a great fit for the job. Shut up. I would be a nice coach. I would be the Bad News Bears coach. I would take a group of ragtag miscreants like Sandlot, and I would teach them how to play with their heart. And I would not need to abuse anyone.
When baseball was introduced in Japan in the 1800s, the word sport didn't even exist in Japanese. The closest thing they had were things like sumo wrestling, kendo, horseback riding, which were all extensions of military training. So unlike in America, the people who played were essentially treated as soldiers. Suishu Tobido said, quote, "If players do not try as hard as to vomit blood during practice, then they cannot hope to win games." Called Shi no Renshu, which when translated to English means death practice, and had players field ground balls until they were, quote, half dead, motionless, and had froth coming from their mouths.
Who is this guy trying to impress, dude? This guy really wants somebody to think he's hardcore. I think this is it's like a personal thing. He's trying to make it his thing.
Because baseball is less about having fun and more about teaching discipline, self-sacrifice, dedication, and having the fighting spirit. Like just last year, when an elite baseball school in Japan beat another school, which got 5 of their players from the school's music club 82-0. They hit 17 home runs and stole 36 bases. Yes, they stole the entire game, even stealing multiple times when winning 82-0.
Dude, come on, man. He's stealing bases. It's 82. What are you doing, man? Show a little mercy. Call the game.
It took 3 hours and
32. Well, okay, what happened in innings 3, 4, and 5? How do you score 32, then 33, and then just plummet? Did they just stop?
This is a high school baseball tournament called the Summer Koshin.
What the fuck is that?
That is so important. The Hanshin Tigers, a professional baseball team, is forced to leave their home stadium for 2 weeks just so they can play it.
So
During
it's like
those
Texas
2 weeks,
with
an insane
college football or high school football.
500,000 people come to see this tournament live.
Oh my
In
God,
America,
dude.
the NCAA only allows college athletes to practice 4 hours a day. In Japan, it's not uncommon for high school teams to practice 7 hours a day, as well as 12-hour practices on holidays.
Japan is so untalented. Like, at some point, you're just bad. If you're not winning every Olympics in every category forever, you are just not good at the thing that you're trying to do. Do they win baseball every year? They better win every sport forever. America just plays by heart, bro. I don't even know frames. I just play the game. You are right. I'm saying if you are doing all of this shit and you still can't win, you're ass, man. Play something else.
This player got destroyed and needed a stretcher. He refused the stretcher and came back 2 minutes later. This player got smoked in the head, was carted off the field, but refused to leave the game and still played. And this catcher got nailed in the face with a ball so hard, he knocked out multiple teeth, stayed in the game, and hit a double a few hours later.
Yeah! Oh my God, it's not. Is it worth it, man? Is it worth it?
To understand how dedicated these players and schools are about this tournament, all you have to do is look at their cheering sections. They have cheer teams made up of the school's students. These teams practice throughout the year and go through intense training, just like the players do, in order to cheer better and help their school go further in the tournament.
Why is everybody showing off, man? Relax. This is what effort does to people. I would never do this.
It is normal and pretty much expected for players and cheer members to cry when losing, and given how much training and sacrifice is required to get there, this is understandable, but some losses are harder than others.
I guess if you train that much, you like, it's not like you have to cry, you just will cry, just as a function of all the time that you've wasted. I've been punched in the handshake lineup after winning hockey games. Really? One, do people still do the good game bullshit? And two, do people, like, get physical? That's not surprising. I guess I never really thought about it before, but that's kind of interesting. I punched a kid after he chirped me in high school basketball. In baseball, a coach took a swing at a player on my team during the handshake. What?
What made their high school baseball teams the most disciplined, respectful, and talented in the world. But when taken to extremes, it can be extremely abusive. Incidents like this, which surfaced in 2018, show a coach repeatedly kicking, slapping, and punching multiple members on the team. Human Rights Watch organization released a 57-page report on child abuse in sports in Japan. In it were accounts of baseball players being hit in the face by their coaches until they bled from their faces, managers kicking players, throwing baseballs at players, and hitting them with bats.
Dude, what's going on with the parents here? Is it just a part of the culture? Like, are they indoctrinated in it too? Is it
For pitchers, this can mean throwing up to 300 pitches a day. In America, this may be considered more abusive than hitting a player. In 2013,
you're gonna
this
break
pitcher
your nose.
threw 318 pitches in 2 days. He won both these games, sending his team to the Koshin, where he had so much arm pain he was given a painkiller injection. When that didn't work, he was given stimulants. In the second round, the pain was even worse. His velocity was only reaching 57 miles per hour. This painful video is used as an example to criticize coaches who put their young pitcher's future at risk for success at the Koshin. But years later, the pitcher puts zero blame on the coach, saying that it was his decision, and at the time he thought, quote, "I don't care about my future." This is a common mindset surrounding the tournament and has created legends in Japan.
I've never heard of the Koshin. This shit is, like, so important to a quarter of the world, and I will never know anything about it. Classic and sports animes, oh, that's how you guys know it. People would chatter like, oh, you don't know the Koshin? You haven't read Koshin Clash by my favorite mangaka? No. Isn't that what Blue Lock is? Isn't that the same thing? Brainwashing cult stuff? I'm wondering, like, is there... So I know that Japan birth rates are declining, and it's, like, an issue over there because they're like, okay, we've got old people, and we aren't making new people. Is there, like, a changing culture? They're not making kids, but are they nicer to kids? It's still very predominantly favored to older people. How would I know? I don't know. Some of y'all watch a lot of anime, right? Fucking watch a lot of shonen, right? I don't know. I haven't made an anime about that. Spy Family, right? Isn't that supposed to be the happy family that is supposed to be Shinzo Abe's, he wanted birth rates or something. I don't fucking know. I only know what I see on Twitter. How do you know this? Alpha Rad. He told me about it during a podcast like a year ago.
The next day, he came into the game again, pitched the final inning, and sent his team to the finals, where 1 day later, he threw a 9-inning no-hitter to win the Koshin.
Bro, okay. If somebody is sending a 9-inning no-hitter and your team has practiced for 8 hours a day their entire fucking lives, quit. Imagine being on that pitcher's team. You have practiced. You're in the outfield. You have practiced for 9 hours a day your entire life to win, and then you never get the ball sent to you. You're just sitting in the outfield for 6 hours waiting for somebody to get a hit, but your pitcher trained really fucking hard, and he got a no-hitter. This is so stupid. When I was a senior in high school in Japan, teachers would literally beg students not to go to the Koshin out of fear of them destroying their bodies. Then their coaches would convince them anyway. Then they come back all busted up in a non-zero percentage flunk out of university due to it, and they're totally fucked. Really? Jesus, dude.
Warren Cromartie described playing professional baseball in Japan as, quote, serving in the Japanese Imperial Army. Charlie Manuel says the coaching was so strict and regimented, his coach was in charge of when he was able to change his socks. For Americans, professional basoseball in Japan results in major culture shock. Just ask Rod Allen, who after being targeted by a pitch, charged the mound, but instead...
That guy has never been chased in his life. Uh-oh. Imagine being a Japanese pitcher and you hit a guy with the pitch and you're like, damn, he's not getting a base. Pussy, he tried to move out of the way and then he immediately draws aggro. He's booking it at you. He's sprinting. Nobody told you that would happen. You can have the base. You can have the base. Take your base!
The major difference between professional baseball in Japan and the US is that it's probably 3 times more work. The MPB has a long history of famously strict managers. In 1977, Giants manager Tetsuhara Kawakami forbid his players' wives from requesting sex from his players so that they would be able to conserve their energy.
Okay. I've heard this before. I've heard this before. Panda moment. Listen. I've heard this before. I don't know how true it is, but it's not a Japan-only thing. Apparently, it's like UFC, and it's boxing, and it's other stuff too. Speak on that, content creator. Apparently, it's a competition thing.
Tetsuo Hiroka once banned his team from drinking soda. He also didn't let his players see their girlfriends during the season because he thought it was a distraction.
It is, man. Not to say that you should be allowed to do it. It's not that you should be allowed to stop people from doing it, but it objectively is. The girlfriend debuff is real, man. I'm telling you. Girlfriends ruin League of Legends. I'm saying! Imagine practicing for 13 hours League of Legends your entire life, and then you get a girlfriend, you're like, oh, shit! This is what I've been missing? I don't want to play anymore.
It's normal for players to take part in the 1000 fungo drill, a famous drill in Japan where a coach hits ground balls to a fielder until they quit, get sick, pass out, or field 1000 balls.
Until they get sick? I guess until you vomit. By get sick, I was like, do they catch a cold? Like, does it go long enough for them to get a virus?
Players are so used to this. When American Bobby Valentine was hired to manage a team in Japan and put the team through a more relaxed American-style training camp with less running, less intensity, and more rest, the players literally revolted and held their own secret practices behind the manager's back.
They don't want us to play or practice more? That's it. I'm drag racing now. Fuck you, coach. I'm running.
They have a dormitory director whose job it is to wake them all up at the same time.
Fun.
Make sure they all eat. Make sure they're all eating healthy, and even is in charge of making sure they all bathe. Players live in these dormitories throughout the entire season and have to request permission every time they want to leave. Most players leave the dorms as soon as possible to gain their freedom, but the most dedicated players are known to stay as long as possible. For example, Shohei Ohtani had won league MVP and was already the most famous athlete in Japan while still living in the team dormitory. Ichiro elected to live in the dorms into his 6th season, even though he was league MVP, in order to live closer to the batting cages.
Actual fucking cult, yeah. When I was a translator for a sumo stable, it was the same. It's like a cult environment you willingly join/play to be in. You earn a private room by ranking up, paying well. It makes sense on paper, but it's pretty messed up in practice, especially when some of the guys are 16, 17, 18. When you're 16 to 18, you're still trying to find out who you are, and you put your entire fucking existence and sense of self into this. It makes sense to indoctrinate, these people. But
it's no surprise that when MLB players have come to Japan, they've become some of the most hated players in the country. Just ask Kevin Schreiber, who was targeted and hit by this pitcher 3 times. The 3rd time, he charged him out.
It's like the fucking...
Upset about
somebody
this,
stop the
went
witch!
back to the dugout,
dude,
pretended to calm down, then beelined for the manager to get revenge. He pushed the catcher out of the way, but lost his balance and fell on his face.
Got his ass.
Then
okay, we're
got kicked in the face by the same manager for the second time.
That was
in the 80s,
blow
the commissioner of NPB himself said that foreigners were, quote, overpaid, underproductive, and generally annoying. This was the commissioner of the league.
However, we do win. Yeah, I was going to say, don't we usually win? I mean, you're practicing all that time that hard for what?
According to Scott Anderson, in his first year in Japan, he witnessed his manager gather the entire team to watch him slap the team's shortstop in the face until he was red because he made 2 errors. Anderson was shocked. He approached the player, told him he shouldn't let the manager do that, and even offered him to take him to the police station and testify on his behalf.
I don't know why that's so funny to me. Hey, man, are you okay? You shouldn't let your coach hit you like that. Let's get you somewhere safe. The player's like, huh?
To say this is an extreme culture shock is an understatement. Clyde Wright says that after losing 2 straight games in Japan, his team suggested he send his wife back home to America.
Bro, we gotta talk. We gotta get her ass out of here. It's definitely your wife. She's too hot. We all love her.
For decades, when a foreign player challenged an important record, they would get this treatment. Randy Bass only needed 1 home run with 2 games left to tie the single-season home run record in Japan. Ironically, these 2 games were against a team managed by Sadaharu Oh, the man who held the record. To prevent Bass from getting a chance to tie the record, pitchers on the team were threatened with $1,000 fines for every strike they threw to Bass. He got walked 6 times in 2 games and never got the record.
That is some real hater shit. I love that. Just throw the ball on the ground. Oops! It's because I throw 500 pitches a day. My arm is so tired.
In 2001, Tuffy Rhodes tied the record with 3 games left to play. He also had to play against a team managed by Sadaharu Oh.
Oh, not this guy again. Uh-oh. Imagine you're trying to hit the ball. You're like jumping out of the box. Please let me hit the ball. It is crazy to me in baseball that you could choose to not let somebody play. You could just decide, fuck that guy. Let him walk.
In 1971, the Orioles faced what was considered the best Japanese team of all time and beat them 8 times in a row. In 1981, the Royals faced a Japanese all-star team while having a case of beer in the dugout and still went 9-7-1.
I would fucking lose it. My entire life, my entire culture and society around me have told me to practice, try so hard, and these guys are getting shit-faced in the fucking dugout and beating our ass. Actual Mango moment. Mango's just in the fucking dugout, the goat over there, not paying attention to the game at all and still beating my ass. After all my training, I tried so hard.
After a team of Japanese All-Stars went 1-6 against a team of MLB All-Stars in 1986, a Japanese player said, quote, "We're a group of little leaguers playing adults.
What a
we can
joke
never
league. Oh my God, dude. That's so sad.
But however true this was at the time, it was about to change. By 1995, there hadn't been a single Japanese player in MLB in 30 years. This was due to the reserve clause. It basically states that when a team drafts a player, that player is property of that team their entire career. There was no free agency, so the only way a player can play for another team was to get traded or released. No MPB team was going to release a player good enough to play in MLB, and a trade with an MLB team was impossible.
Dude, that's oh, dude. So do you do it? Do you just play in Japan and just, oh my God.
Until Hideo Nomo. He was the best pitcher in Japan, and in 1994 hired an agent, which was illegal in MPB. However, this notorious agent, Dom Nomura, discovered a loophole. He retired at 25 years old. The move essentially prohibited Nomo from pitching in Japan ever again. Instead, he took a pay cut to sign a minor league contract with the Dodgers. At first, Nomo was seen as an enemy for turning his back on Japan. Then, he started pitching. He shocked the world by immediately dominating the league, but what was even more shocking was the media frenzy he created. All of a sudden, he was a hero in Japan. The Dodgers got massive spikes in attendance every time he pitched, sold millions in Nomo merch. When he pitched in the All-Star game, 15 million people in Japan watched. That's twice the number of people who watched the MLB All-Star game this past season, just in Japan alone.
What a crazy culture shock that has to be. To be told that, like, the society, the group matters the most. And then you go to America and you're just a fucking celebrity because you're good at a game. You're, like, the most famous player in the league. People have merch of you. What a weird feeling that must be. Imagine your dad stops talking to you because you didn't dedicate your life to a Japanese team and you pop off in America. Would he care after that?
Then, the very next year, Ichiro showed up. People were so confident that Japanese hitters could never have success against MLB pitchers. Commentator Rob Dibble said he would wear a G-string thong in Times Square if Ichiro won the batting title.
Ichiro's name is Rob Dibble.
That year, Ichiro also won the batting title.
Give
and
him
Rob
the
Dibble
string.
had to wear a thong.
Put on the
he not
string,
only
Dibble.
became the most famous baseball player
Bobby
in the
Dibs.
world, he likely became the most famous person in Japan.
Ichiro got his 3rd hit at his 10th at-bat. He never went below 300 ever again for his entire career. Jesus.
And sometimes their philosophies confused Americans, like when Ichiro reportedly passed up on $22 million worth of endorsements in one season because he thought they were a distraction to his duty of playing baseball.
I could see that. I think it's dumb, of course. I think it's stupid. I would take the money. But if you're at the height of your career and you're trying to establish a legacy, you can do the stupid ad shit later. He already had a lot of money, I would assume. I mean, it's like, you already have a lot of money. You're building a legacy. And if they're asking for a lot of deliverables, like, okay, with these sponsorships, you have to, like, you know, appear in commercials and do all this other shit. Yeah, you want to focus on the game. I get that. It was risky because he could have failed. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I would take the... I don't know if I'm American-brained or what. Dude, there was once I was in a show. It's funny because, you know, I used to do theater and I was an actor. In the show, my character was supposed... He was like... He got offered this, like, big TV deal to, like, be a TV star in this, like, $10 million contract or whatever. And he turns it down so he can perform Shakespeare in the park for free because of the art. Dude, doing that shit pissed me off every night I was on stage. Because I'm like, who the fuck would choose this? It was so pretentious, dumb bullshit. It's the lead in the show, so I have to take it very seriously. But I'm like, what the fuck kind of show is this? My character's like, no, this is meaningful. I need to perform because this means something. Instead of taking one season of a show for $10 million. I was so mad at that.
These players were unknown to the rest of the world and stuck in MPB, but many of them would go on to come to America and have amazing MLB careers.
I would go
on
to
top
America,
of that,
though.
at the youth level, Japan also excelled in Little League, going on to win.
Tennessee? Damn, they beat their ass. Bottom of the 5th, 2-12. Jesus.
Then Shohei showed up. Despite making $2.4 million a year, he gave his mother complete control of his finances and lived off an allowance of $1,000 a month. So during this time, Ohtani spent $4,000 over a span of 2 entire years. He cared so little about money, he gave up $196 million just to come to MLB.
Why?
2 years sooner.
This guy cares about nothing other than baseball to a ridiculous degree. Yeah, but why come to the MLB? He just got signed for $700 million to the Dodgers. Oh my God! $700 million. How long is that contract? 10 years, but deferred another 10. Oh my God, dude. His contract is worth more than the entire Arizona Coyotes NHL team. Okay, to be honest, I'm not surprised, but I've never heard of the Arizona Coyotes NHL team. So that's the first. I didn't know they were real. I've never heard of that team, so that makes sense.
What the world didn't know was that several other of the world's best players were also Japanese, but nobody outside of Japan had ever heard of them. But in the 2023 WBC, they had a chance to change. With stars like Ohtani, legends like Yu Darvish, and up-and-coming phenoms like Roki Sasaki all on the same team, this was heralded as potentially the greatest team ever assembled in Japan. But with only 3 players with any MLB experience, the rest of the world heralded Team USA and the Dominican Republic as significantly stronger. Each game during pool play was watched by at least 40% of the entire country. Their game against Korea was watched by 55 million people in Japan, and their final game in Japan was watched by over 60 million people, once again breaking the record for the most watched baseball game of all time. Then, in a matchup to win it all, they defeated the United States for another WBC title.
We lost! Okay, now let's play them in football. Drew, let's change the game. Actually, let's play football now. Do they play football? US is ass at football? Wait, is that true? I'm not talking about footy. Not soccer, not FIFA. Football. Does anybody else play football? We are the only ones who play football. Okay.
Munetaki Murakami, who sent Team Japan to the WBC final with a walk-off double, broke the single-season home run record in Japan at 22 years old. He also made his intentions to come to MLB clear and will likely come within the next 2 years.
We were making fun of that 7-hour-a-day regiment that all the children were doing for every day of their lives, and now they've grown up. It finally paid off, yeah. We drank too much beer.
For the first time, maybe ever, MLB has become the end goal for players in Japan. Not only are more players coming to MLB, the best players in the country are doing it. In a few years, there will be more Japanese players in MLB than ever, and these players will have a chance to prove to everyone that once and for all, Japan has become the best baseball country in the world.
Damn. All you have to do is get those kids just grinding it out every day, till the fucking bone. They just have to be running 10 miles a day in practice till the end of their lives. Jesus Christ.